Hey YouTube, this is Ben Gessel. How's it going? Let's head down this way. It has been a little while since I've made a video at night. And a bit has happened. Maybe just go this way. But of course, I think you guys have heard some of the main things that have been going on recently. Maybe. Sometimes in these night walks I've done and just talking with you guys about stuff, one of the best things, for at least for me, I know what you guys, is that I'm able to kind of express thoughts that I often don't get to express in waking life, or in the rest of the day, for the most part. And I think it's one of our God-given rights to be able to do this. So, yeah. So yeah. Well, I just finished a concert with one of the orchestras I play with, and it was basically not perfect. I mean, I played well. I know I played well. That was something we stressed a lot at Central Washington University, by the way, is that you want to be able to have no perfect performances. It's not easy to do, especially in the horn, by the way. So it takes a lot of focus, a lot of concentration. I have a student, by the way, who might have mentioned him in passing. It's always descriptions, never names, of course. Who has had a tough time, still has a tough time trying to focus in lessons. And I know why. You know, there's a lot to be said for the I'm trying to think how to put this. Being able to have a really high degree of focus for a long period of time, that's one of the most vital skills for a musician to be able to have. And it really makes it very difficult to progress in music if you have serious struggles in that area, I've realized. And so the way out of that is it's almost a medical arena, or it's a lot of things. It's neurological, it's medical, it's nutritional, and all the brain stuff, you know. And so I've mentioned this before, by the way, but I don't know. The train of thought I had, though, more with all this, was a bit more oriented around the lines of, do you guys feel, I mentioned this again in earlier videos, do you guys feel like, it's increasingly more difficult to say what you think, what you truly think, and have it come right from the heart, without somebody getting upset. Sometimes the things that come most from the heart, when you're at your most collected and you're most level-headed, things that you're the most sincere about, most sober-minded about, and are said in such a way that you mean every single word that you said in the way you said it. Those kinds of things have also the most cutting power. Goes straight to the heart. And those, depending on what you're saying, those things can be the most upsetting of all things that are ever said. But what I'm trying to say is that, do you ever feel like it's those kinds of conversations, those kinds of things that, along with, again, in my opinion, more admirable trains of thought, more admirable discussions that are increasingly under fire, under attack? I think they are. It doesn't matter if it doesn't have to be conservative necessarily. Not necessarily, no, like just polite, thoughtful discussions. Standing up for things that are morally right. These kinds of things are increasingly under attack. It's undeniable. And there's also this concept of intellectual and spiritual freedom that is connected with all this. I feel like, I mentioned this before in other videos, I'm sure I have. There's a movie, it's called Dark City. In Dark City, I can't remember the guy's name. He's a British actor, darker hair, and it has, I think, Jennifer Connelly in it. But this guy, and he played a villain in A Knight's Tale. In this movie, he's the good guy. Anyway, so he is living kind of the same day over and over again, but he's not fully aware of the previous day that he lived. It's just weird. It's this very weird kind of thing going on that you as the viewer are not really fully aware of yourself, what's actually happening. You're trying to figure it out as well. And he's in this world, this area where everything is gray or everything is dark. There's no color. And the only things that he cares about, I guess this was one moment where you have like a red rose or something. And other than that red rose, everything else is dark. And he sees a sign where he wants to go to a beach or something like that with this woman. This woman is the only person that he cares about, that he every single day he's this movie, even though it was not really a fun movie to watch, it's one of the movies that stuck with me more. I kind of feel on some level like for so many of us, we're kind of living in dark cities, if you follow my drift. Even if life is actually pretty great, even if life is really great, we all have our dark cities. We all have our things about life that we become entrapped by. And so on some level, we're all looking for some kind of freedom from that. And if someone is not, if someone is truly not looking for any more meaning to life, or any more freedom, if they have everything they want, if everything is as it should be, and they don't think about these things, okay. But I think those people actually are fewer in number than we might realize. And they themselves probably often wouldn't admit that they have those desires, depending on the person. There's a lot of, I grew up with a lot of this idea of work first, play later. As you guys could probably guess right now, the main thing I'm doing right now is working. I'm working quite a bit. As it is, tomorrow, starting around at least by 11:30, I'll be working, teaching private lessons, and that's why it's so great to work in something that I actually enjoy. Because if I wasn't doing that, it truly would be like Dark City. I know what that's like too. When you're working full time on something that you don't like, that really sucks. But yeah, tomorrow morning, I used to have a little bit of the morning, and then, but it's what I'm used to doing, every day, and I don't know. I'm always busy. I'm very, very busy right now. On Mondays, Tuesdays, somewhat. Tuesdays are a little bit easier. Wednesdays, I'm getting busier. How's it going? Yeah, on Thursday and Friday, I'm fortunately having a little bit more time to myself. I'm not upset about it because I am getting more income, which is great. The downside is that it's harder to do things that I want to do. I truly want to do, other than what I'm doing right now is to work. This is always how it is when you are working more like full-time hours. And you guys have probably heard, it seems like we're bombarded endlessly by ways of making money that don't involve very much work or very much time. You can work from home. And it seemed, I just, for so many reasons, I've never really pursued any of those things very intently. For so many reasons. Let's go this way a little farther. So, by the way, I had a Hispanic gentleman wanted to say hi on YouTube. He's friendly enough, but I didn't show him. This is a little bit a while back. This is a little segue. I'll get back to what I'm talking about in just a second, but my landlord is on the neighborhood watch. We had a little chat about walking at night. If I cannot walk at night, it helps to clear my head and it's cool out, especially when it gets warmer months. This is going to be a necessity, especially when it's so hot in the day. It gets cooler at night. I mean, it's the very end of March, so we're past the frigid months, so we'll get warmer, so walking in the evening will be a lot more desirable. So I want people to understand that walking late at night is one of the things I consider to be an American freedom and right, or walking whenever. And I've never liked evening curfews. My kid, even when I was a kid, I could still, I'm actually thinking to myself, no, I was always asleep by a certain time anyways when I was a kid. It was never really an issue, but from a full-grown adult, if I'm freaking busy in the day, all day, I need some time myself. This is the best time to do it. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. It's just if we ever have a situation where I can't do this, no, that's not gonna happen. That won't happen. My old place at Kenmore, even though The old place really stunk comparatively, which the landlord was nice enough, sure, but it was just not, no. But I could walk around at night. You guys know that because all these videos I made at night. But I don't want anybody to think it's peculiar. It's not peculiar. I'm just walking late at night, getting my voice down. I want people to mind their own business. I'm not stealing anything. Not doing anything disreputable. You guys know that. You guys know that stuff. Why can't we all just leave each other alone that way? In fact, I know I'm getting off a tangent here, but why is it that increasingly as time is going on, people seem like they're kind of singling out the wrong sorts? I mean, they're looking for faults in people, looking for things simply aren't there, trying to find fault with people. I have actually been lucky. I've been managed to stay out of silly, stupid things like lawsuits and stuff. Like waste time, waste money. I hate the whole legal, that whole side of law. I hate it. So I've been lucky enough to be able to steer clear of that stuff. I suppose the closest I've, anyway, I don't have a lot of patience for people that try to find fault with someone that wasn't doing anything wrong in the first place. I've never had very much that to begin with. I don't think many people do. So, I guess the reason, one of the trains of thought, of course, I've had with my landlord, see, the house I live at is great. The neighborhood we live at is not bad. It's maybe debatably less safe than the last place I was at, but the place I'm at is much better. So it's definitely a better situation. I know it is. So I'm doing better overall in so many respects, but emotionally, I think all kinds of stuff. But it's like, this is Everett, and so there are areas that are rougher. It's true, but this area of Everett, are you kidding me? This is just fine. There's nothing wrong with it. These are nice houses, and this is just like Kenmore, just nice, beautiful. You guys probably can't see that, but it's the American flag. Anyway, this is not dangerous at all. So, I don't put much stock in anyway, I think, as you guys know what I'm saying. Anyway, let's get back to a really train of thought here. Each of us have kind of these dark cities in our lives where we feel like we're trapped in some respect. That the days are all the same, or there's something missing, or whatever. It's so important, I think. And I don't know how many people in the world are in this ballpark, but I think it's for all those people that are sincere, good-hearted people. It's important we never give up on what our beach is, quote unquote. I mean, so to speak. It's important not to give in to the illusion that, in this case, in this movie, these aliens had kind of taken control of the earth and made it this gigantic, dark place, and there's nothing truly, I don't know. It was kind of interesting. I haven't seen it for a while. I just remember being happy that the earth was the way it was, nice and beautiful. But Um, there's a lot of things about life that can be very depressing and discouraging. And yeah, I mean, I don't know where to begin. But one of the things I wanted to mention, this is a little different train of thought. You sometimes wonder what I've sometimes wondered about the people I've known, what they're really all about. Whenever you're with different kinds of people, around different kinds of people, and you know you're around that person, whoever they are, whether or not they mean more to you in your life or less, in a way it doesn't really matter, because the train of thought is, if you are curious about what that person is really like, what is that person really like? And you can't really know what they're really like if they're acting in a way a little differently depending on the crowd they're in. This is something I've known about since my teen years and on. And as adults, we're not really free of that way of being as well. The nice thing is, for instance, with all the people I know in the Live Symphony, these are people that are... I never have to feel like I have to be somebody else, really. But of course, I was trying to be diplomatic about what I'm saying. This is especially the case with things like politics, where you have a lot of admirable people they're both Republicans and Democrats. You guys know this. But you have other differences of opinion. You have other things that come up from time to time. You know, there are no. It's not. I mean, even in high school and junior high, we're never as markedly this way as it's always more exaggerated in Hollywood, you know. But it's never. I never have felt like I had to act a certain way in the Fly Symphony or Seattle Philharmonic. Adult years are great that way, but that being said, there's still times when I'm like, is it members of the church I want to be around? Members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? Is there more of those folks I want to be around? Yeah, but is it just that? You know, it's like, when you really think about it, it's the people that are, they're people you just know in your heart that you want to be around more. And it definitely helps if they're Mormon, because, you know, but I've known members of the church that are my church that are not always the sort of people I want to be around. I've done that too. Just I don't know. And if you know, Ferris Bueller says, if you don't stop and look around once in a while, you can miss it, regarding just living life. Well, if you don't take some time to make YouTube videos like I'm doing right now, or you don't take some time to kind of, whoa, let me just take a step back from all my busyness in life and see how things are going once in a while, you know, you don't want to silence your own soul. You don't want to say to yourself, the thoughts that I have are not very important because nobody wants to hear them, apparently. Or they think it's odd that you want to make YouTube videos at night. So you want to be kind to yourself and actually let yourself. It doesn't even matter if you're married or not. It doesn't even matter If you have tons of people who want to talk to you all the time, it doesn't matter at all. But the only thing that matters is, are you able to take a step back from your life and just go, what's going on? Where am I a little bit off course? Where do I feel like I'm trapped? You know, what could be better? And let me tell you, when we get really busy, there's a better chance that we might feel like we're trapped. Although the income we make usually makes up for it somewhat. We don't like to feel financially trapped, which is why it's so appealing when someone says things like, you hear things like, oh, you can make all this money without spending any time. You know. Oh, anyway. The least amount of time, most amount of money, least amount of work. Yeah, we want that. It's probably gonna be a scam, you know. It's like you walk into a casino, think, what if I just won the big one and that's all the gambling I do? Well, that's a train of thought that leads to gambling. And you spend a bunch of money that you didn't think you would spend and you didn't make anything from it. That's gonna happen 9,999 times out of 10,000. So I just don't do it, you know. I'm surprised sometimes that casinos make the money that they make. When you think about all the people spending all that money when all that money could have gone to other things. So I don't know. I hate gambling. I had a roommate, by the way, in college who spent his college money on gambling. So I know it's a real thing. He was never a bad person. It's not about being bad. It's not an admirable thing, but he was not a bad person. It's a lot of things can happen to anybody. You don't want bad things to happen to good people. We're all good people on some level. Even the worst of us we're not demons, at least, you know. So, to take this a different train of thought here, I watched a haunting. It's one of the more interesting shows I've seen with paranormal in the past, and one of the things I can't forget about, it has to do with some of the ghosts that were, we'll just say, some of these guys that were very tough souls, old miners in West Virginia and stuff, that were ghosts, you know, that were kind of inhabiting houses back in, of course, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio area. And yeah, if they were coal miners or working a steel mill, these kind of no-nonsense guys that would be up at the crack of dawn, working all day, go home, do the same thing day after day. Maybe they'd have a day off for church, maybe not. Yeah, that was their life. Holy crap, man. And then, sure, a lot of these guys are very admirable, but what does that do to a person? Or what kind of state of mind is that person usually in? You know, and so we might think, well, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Well, in this case, the nature of the work was probably a little bit more on the dull side to begin with, but it's still very important because we need coal, we need steel products, and it's very dangerous work. So these are tough guys too. I wouldn't want to cross them. No, are you kidding me? I'm not talking about the whole martial arts thing. I'm just rather not start a argument with these kind of guys. I can handle myself, but I mean, come on now. These guys are tough guys, in my opinion. Anyway, even if they're old guys, they're still tough as nails, so we won't get into the comparisons. So I gotta wrap this up. Maybe make a part 2 in a second. But it's just, these kinds of guys probably do feel like they're living in the dark city. The very places they're working in, these coal mines, steel mills, they are dark city itself. You know, holy cow, man. Yeah. Compare that to work like a botanist. That's like a dream job. At least I think aesthetically. I could never work in a coal mine or steel mill. But anyway, the reason why all these guys are kind of grumps, I think, these ghosts, it varied depending on the person, but if you live a life like that, how would you feel? Kind of thing. But of course, it all depends on the person. Anyway, make a part 2 in a second. You guys take care. Talk to you soon. Bye.